Now you've already practiced Ujjayi breath. Some of you will have been practicing it quite a lot in your movement practices, for example. If you've been doing any of the vinyasa style approaches to yoga, you'll have been working with some quality or another of Ujjayi breath. Now on the level 1 course we had a look at Ujjayi and talked about what it means. It means upwardly victorious. And we talked there about what the victory is over. The victory is over the selfing mechanisms, the selfing story, the relentless referentiality of the mind, which is making everything about itself. Right? The I, me, mine mythology, the feeling of I, the emotions of me and my world, and the territory of mine. So the I, me, mine thing is a thing that our evolutionary biology, psychology has created, right? And what we do is prioritize that over everything else in the universe, which is kind of sensible really if you want to stay alive and you want to continue to reproduce your genetic material, which is what this biological life is about, of course. However, when we get to the complexity of being a species of 7 billion human beings busy consuming on planet Earth, that selfing mechanism can become a bit of a problem unless it's transparent. So if it's occluded, hidden, and the main driver of everybody's experience and existence, what it ends up in is relentless warfare, which is what we human beings have been doing for several thousand years. This tribe against that tribe, us against them. So the very nature of the selfing, othering systems in the brain have to be examined and made transparent. And we know now they're a function of various parts of the brain, a network of interoceptive mechanisms in the body, control network, the default mode network in the brain, which is a medial part of the cortex, the insular parts of the posterior parietal. There's this network of brain bits, brain-body bits, that are creating this constant story of me. And the first thing is nothing wrong with that. It's what we do. And we relate to that through storytelling. I was walking down the road the other day and I met Simon. Do you know what Simon said to me? Simon said, and so the story goes on. So we relate through this selfing structure to each other to create community and build our world. It's necessary. So we're not trying to get rid of it. We're trying to make it transparent, and we can do that with breath practice. At least we can start the ball rolling and finish it with meditation, but we can get that moving. When it's transparent, we are not bound by it. We can shake it loose. It's like changing your shirt. You can wear a different shirt. You don't have to wear the same shirt the whole time. We can be creative with it, and we don't get bound up in the illusion that somehow the position we have created is the only one that's right and everything else is wrong. Right, so selfing and the referentiality, the construction of the self, is a thing that we do. How do we undo it? Through awareness. Through awareness. Now, Ujjayi practice is specifically for that. It's part of that process. However, the style of Ujjayi breath is then important. It's not the kind of style you do in a vinyasa type yoga practice. It's much more subtle. So you're going to make that breath, you're going to get the sibilance in the throat, you're going to get the sound like you're sighing. Yeah. You're going to get that on the inhale and the exhale. Etc. Now, you want to get that breath smooth first of all. It needs to be smooth. It's not jaggedy, it's not doesn't sound like a steam train, it doesn't sound like Darth Vader. It's not, it's smooth and it's relatively quiet. And what we then do is internalize that sound much more fully. So it becomes that somebody sitting just a few feet from you couldn't hear you. First of all, make it loud enough make it loud enough and smooth enough. It's going to be a few years before you get it really good. Yeah? But you can do. And then you can sit quietly, yeah, and do the practice. I was doing it there. You probably couldn't hear it. I hope you couldn't. Yeah. So what happens when you take it that quiet is you've still got that feeling in the throat. You've still got that restriction. By the way, one of the side effects is increased oxygen uptake when you restrict the air like that. However, what you're doing is you're creating awareness space in that, where you have the sound and the feeling of the breath in the throat to tune into so successfully that it gives you that focus of mind. Now, there are other practices that work well with this. One of those, of course, is awareness of breathing. Awareness of breathing is primary here, because it's when we're focusing on the breath like that successfully over time that attention can't go into the selfing, othering systems of the brain. It goes into the more focused, task-oriented bits of our neurology. So we're just keeping the attention out of selfing and othering until we gradually weaken its power and control. So if you notice you're caught up in selfing, othering, and selfing, othering creates a story of me, self, in relationship to the other. Now, when we do that in a toxic way, it's us against them. You know, it's this team against that team, that tribe against this tribe. It's a war zone, whatever it is. And that's historically how we human beings have done things for thousands of years. And maybe it's passé, maybe it's how we're going to keep doing things as we approach, complex times. Who knows? But the point of the practice is to make that system transparent and to dismantle its power over us by creating greater linkages with the lateralized aspect of the cortex. Practices of gratitude really help. Making conscious evolution an embodied part of your life, a choice, also helps. Other elements of practice, the whole system, the elements of the expect a miracle, all of those, when you apply those well, will assist this process. And again, we're not trying to create some kind of ego-dectomy. We're creating optimal, super coherent function in the body-mind. So we're going above and beyond, not below. And it's important to bear that in mind with the selfing process. Nothing wrong with it, just making it transparent. Great, thank you.